For the first time in a long time, it's your boy Rob Dauster with the man Jeff Goodman from Stadium here to break down Emoni Bates, the best player in the class, the top 5 player in the class. I'm not really sure. We'll probably get into that a little bit, but he announced today that he is committing to Memphis after everybody discovered that he had already enrolled at the school, mining the student directories. You got to love when people start mining the student directories to get scoops. So, Jeffrey, first and foremost, how are you, sir? It's been a while since we talked publicly. We talk literally every single day. I'm so sick of seeing you too much,
but yeah. We haven't shown the world us in a while, which is probably a good thing for everybody else. But yeah, this is a day that I got to say I'm not that surprised about. I think it was certainly headed that way, and even when I talked to Emoni a month or so ago down at the Peach Jam, you could sense that college, to me, I could sense college was the way he was headed. I didn't know it was definitely Memphis, but I got a tip. I'll tell you what, I got a tip from somebody about 6 weeks ago or so that Emoni and Jalen Durham were going to both play at Memphis. And I kind of shook it off. But if you remember, I put out a tweet, I think before anybody even knew that Memphis was involved for Emoni Bates. And I kind of threw it out there. And our boy Joe Tipton hit me with a text after that. He's like, Memphis? ? I'm like, just what I'm hearing. At that point, I hadn't sat down with him. But this is a huge get for Penny Hardaway in Memphis, obviously, because Penny got a great class a couple years ago with Wiseman and Precious Achiuwa and some other guys too. I mean, it wasn't Boogie Ellis. Really good class. That class didn't pan out. Part of it was, obviously, we know Wiseman didn't play a whole lot of games. He played 3 games. And Boogie Ellis didn't kind of pan out to what they thought he'd be. This group now has a great combination of talented young guys and veterans. And the big question, obviously, is going to be point guard play. How good is it? And if it's really good, they got a chance to win this whole damn thing. If it's not, you could be looking at another year of not making the NCAA tournament.
I don't think it's going to be quite that bad. I think one of the big differences here is that Memphis actually has some upperclassmen and some experience on the roster this year. That team with Wiseman, one, only had Wiseman for like 3 games, and 2, all of their role players were a bunch of like kind of 4-star, middle of the road, 2 or 3 year guys that were freshmen. Right, those are the role players. Now they say they have those same dudes, but they're juniors now. Like Lester Quinones is going to be a really good player. Landers Nolly is going to be a really, really good player, and they're going to have an impact on the team because they're going to provide that shooting, that spacing that this Memphis team is desperately going to end up needing. So I think it's a very different situation. The way that I like to phrase it is this: the last 2 years at Memphis, there was a certain level of expectation with the program, and the reasons why they didn't come through and why they didn't live up to those expectations were legitimate, right? The first year, James Wiseman played 3 games and was gone, and then DJ Jeffries got hurt in January. When you lose 2 of your 3 best players, you're not going to be as good as you're expected to be. It's just that simple. Yeah. Last year, I would make the argument that they were a top 25 team in America by the end of the season. But because they had 2 close, heartbreaking losses to Houston, they did not have the resume to get themselves into the NCAA tournament, partly because they did not play a good non-conference schedule, partly because the AAC is terrible, partly because they only played like 26 regular season games because of COVID. So there were reasons why that year did not pan out the way that we necessarily expected it to be. There's no excuses this season. Yes, Emoni Bates is young. Yes, Jalen Durant is reclassifying. Yes, they don't really have any scoring, and there's some very real questions about whether or not they have a point guard on the roster.
I was just told, breaking news, not breaking, but it is newsworthy. My sources tell me that Emoni Bates is going to get the first crack at the point guard spot. And we saw him down in Augusta. And the one thing that I was really impressed with was his passing ability, his court vision. Now, he's a scorer still at his core, right? But a couple of years ago when I saw him, you really didn't see any of that. And this, to be honest, in July, I really felt like he could run a team. Now, again, are you going to get pressured? That's the big question, right? Will a team really come at him, and will he have a secondary ball handler to be able to handle that? I don't know if he can be your primary when teams really, really go after him. But that's going to be the key, you know.
So I'm less worried about that because I think that you can kind of have anybody bring the ball up. My concern is that
in the NBA you can. Yes, in the NBA you can.
And in college, like there to a certain extent, you can have someone bring the ball up and initiate offense. My concern is that the knock on Emoni is he has a tendency to just settle for tough jumpers. He's a great tough shot maker.
Yes.
He has a tendency to lean only on his ability to be a tough shot maker. And that's not an efficient way to play basketball.
Right.
And if he's playing on a team that's not going to have a ton of floor spacing, then we could look at a situation where like he's going to have to settle for being a tough shot maker. And as a 17 turning 18-year-old kid playing when he's supposed to be a senior in high school at the level that he's going to be playing at for Memphis, that is a bad combination of things. So I can see a situation where like he really kind of struggles early on just because if he's not going to have the floor spacing and he has to settle, that could be a bad thing, especially when you don't have a point guard to put him in spots where he's going to be able to succeed. Now, they do have Alex Lomax on the roster. They do have other guys that can kind of bring the ball up and kind of move the ball around. And I'll tell you this much. If you're a 6'8" talented kid and you're trying to learn how to play the point guard spot, I'm not sure how many people in the world are better at teaching you that than Penny Hardaway. And they also have Larry Brown on the roster.
Great point. That's actually a great point. I mean, obviously he doesn't have the same ball skills Penny had, but you're right. Like if there's anybody that you want to try to teach you to get to whereas you're not super comfortable to being comfortable, it's Penny Hardaway. He's not going to be Penny Hardaway. We know that. He's built differently in terms of his mentality, his skill set. But again, all he's got to do is be good, not great at the point guard spot, and they have a chance to be damn good. Because he and Jalen Duren, they complement each other so well. And they're boys, number one, but their games fit together so perfectly. And again, I love to, we'll see. The big question to me is going to be like Landers Nolly. How does he handle this? How is the chemistry of this group? Because you just went from Landers Nolly a month ago thinking that he was going to be the guy again, and even more of the guy with Boogie Ellis gone and DJ Jeffries gone, to now, being a piece and maybe maybe a piece that averaged 13 a game last year and averages 9 a game this year.
Yeah, here's the thing. If Landers Nolly wants to play in the NBA, right, and I'm assuming that's his goal, if he wants to play in the NBA, the guy that he's going to be in the NBA is a floor spacer that is going to put in effort on the defensive end, that can be switchable, that can take advantage of the fact that he's like 6'7" and in theory should be able to kind of be a little bit versatile, right? That's what he's going to have to be on this team. So yes, there's going to be a little bit of an ego bump, and the idea that he's not going to be the star getting every shot that he wants probably kind of sucks. Like when you expect that going in, but at the same time, this is going to be something that actually prepares him for the next level if his goal is to get to the next level. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Am I making sense here? So I understand how you could be like, well, I'm not going to be able to take 27 shots a game. Well, if you want to be able to make real money playing this, you're never going to be a guy that's going to take 27 shots a game, So I think there's a way to kind of talk him into it. And if you are a good teammate and you are interested in winning, then that's something that should be that should kind of hit him in the right. Does that make sense? Like you want him being able to accept that role if you want him playing at the next level. So,
listen, it's going to be a fascinating. I mean, think about this. You have this team that just added the number 1 and 2 player in the country in the 2023 class. They're not 1 and 2 when they reclassified. Coached by Penny Hardaway, Larry Brown, Rasheed Wallace. Like Rasheed Wallace just joined this staff. Crazy, right? I mean, this is an absolutely crazy kind of turn of events for a Memphis team that a lot of people thought might not be on track to make the tournament for the 4th straight year under Penny Hardaway. Now you look at it and you're like, wow, like this is going to be absolutely must-see TV from the coaching staff to the players everywhere.
All right, so we have a special guest here with us. We'll see if this is going to work. Can you hear us? Emoni, you there?
Emoni.
This is why we're getting a producer when our heretofore announced show was going to be dropping, so that stuff like this doesn't happen. The beauty of live streams. All right, I'm going to pull this back for a second
We'll try it again.
Figured out until we get that audio figured out. Oh man, it's not us if we don't mess things up like that, right? All right, so just kind of to elaborate on your point, yes, I think that now all of a sudden Memphis is kind of like the center of college basketball this year. I think I don't know how many teams, and I say this as somebody that is more excited about this year in college basketball than I've been about any season for probably since I've been covering the sport, right? There are so many interesting storylines, so many fascinating teams, and it's as wide open as I can ever remember it being. But I don't know if there's a team that I'm more excited to watch than this Memphis team coming up. Like, there's just, how often do you have someone that is as good?
Where do you have them ranked now in the preseason? I mean, do you have them? I have Gonzaga 1, Texas 2, Villanova 3, Kansas 4, UCLA 5, Purdue 6. I'm willing to put Memphis 7 at the lowest right now. At the lowest. And I might move them higher than that. They might crack my top 5. I got to look at it. But to me, they're clearly in my top 7 right now.
So I think that Gonzaga and UCLA are the two best teams in college basketball this season. I probably would actually have UCLA at number 1. I love the way that team's built. I think the addition of Miles Johnson is going to really kind of change things for them, especially on the defensive end. So I love them. You have to love Gonzaga. I mean, you got Chet Holmgren and Drew Timme at that's gonna absolutely murder in college basketball. So I love that front court. And beyond that, I mean, I think you can make an argument for about 7 to 8 different teams that can end up being that third best team. And Memphis is 100% one of those 7 to 8 teams.
There's no dominant team this year. We look at it and we say, like Gonzaga is really good, but again, and they are. I mean, listen, they got Drew Timme, arguably maybe the preseason player of the year, back. Chet Holmgren, the number 1 freshman coming in, and a pretty darn good point guard, and Andrew Nembhard, who just knows how to make people better. So Gonzaga might be number 1 overall, but there's not a ton of disparity, I think, now from 1 to 7.
Yep. All right, we're working on this again to try to get
Emoni back again. You're gonna go 0 for 2, or you're gonna go 1 for 2 here?
We got video this time. I'm looking at a ceiling right now. So as soon as I see Emoni actually show up in the video, we'll get him on there.
All right. I'm working now. I'm trying to get it squared away. As you can tell, I'm producing from my phone while we're live.
Hey man, look, this is the beauty of live streams right here. Exactly what we're doing. All right. So whenever we see Emoni pop up in the video screen, I'll bring him up on here. Jeff, let me ask you this: how do you manage the expectations if you're Penny heading into the season? Right, Memphis fans are craving a team that is going to be great again, right? So how do you kind of manage that, knowing that you're building your team around 2 kids that are supposed to be seniors in high school?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the expectations are what they are, but you're building around these 2, but you've got the veterans. Like I said, this isn't a completely freshman-laden team with Penny Hardaway in his rookie year as a head coach and no Larry Brown. So I actually think, again, you got Penny Hardaway working with Emoni Bates. Who better than to work with Jalen Duren than Rasheed Wallace, right? Rasheed Wallace is perfect to work with Jalen Duren.
Yes.
And then you got Larry Brown working with everybody. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm feeling it. I am feeling it right now for this Memphis team. I absolutely am. And I'm excited to see. Listen, after sitting down with Emoni Bates for a while, I'm absolutely blown away by the kid. I just kind of saw a different side of him than a lot of people had portrayed of him and his family. And I'm rooting for him for everything he's been through here this year at Memphis.
Yeah, I mean, you did a big story on that. So I mean, could you elaborate on that just kind of a little bit? What you mean, what he's been through, and kind of his reaction? That's a really important point to this kind of the conversation that we're having about like Emoni Bates and the way that pressure gets put on some of these younger kids. Like I think it's an important point that you made in that story.
Yeah, it's not fair when you put a 15-year-old on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And man, he was great a couple years ago. He was, and you saw the trajectory. But it's not fair. I mean, who's lived up to that other than LeBron James, right? I mean, the guys that have been put in the cover. Jabari Parker was put in the cover 10 years ago, and look how that turned out. So, 15 years old. But what I wrote was nobody has dealt with it like Emoni Bates. LeBron didn't have Twitter, right? Like Jabari Parker didn't even have Twitter. Now you've got Twitter, you've got Instagram, you've got the world of social media. So it's so different for a kid like Emoni Bates. And he said, listen, the highs and lows, the lows a year ago were him thinking about quitting the game because you're in the pandemic. You're not playing in front of fans. Your one of your good friends was shot and killed. Your great grandmother died, and people are crushing you on social media. So it was a tough deal for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the point about the social media is 100% correct. Like that's just, it's so hard to deal with that. Like I get annoyed with people on social media, and I have get probably 1/100th of the attention that Emoni Bates gets, and he's 16 years old. I'm a man, like I'm an adult. I can handle that stuff. When I was 16, if I had people crushing me for not immediately being as good as LeBron James as soon as my name was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, it's a lot, man. It's a lot. All right, so we have Elgin Bates here. I see him in the video now. So as soon as he's listening, he's got his ear up to the screen. Should I bring him on to see what happens?
Yeah, put on Elgin if he comes on
here.
There he
Elgin,
is.
what's up, man?
Hold on, let's see.
Congrats,
Can you
Elgin.
hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
We're live. We're live.
Hello.
We're live right now. The stream is going. Just so you know.
Hold on.
You hear us? This is Emoni's father.
That is a light fixture behind
you
you.
guys hear us?
Yeah, we got you.
I can't hear you. Hold on.
All right.
I might have to give him some headphones.
All right.
We're working on it now. We're working on it.
Tell him we're texting.
We'll get him back. This is, the beauty of it. This is the beauty of it, right?
Hey, this is why we got a producer coming in to handle this.
We need a producer. That's what this show is more than anything. We got a full-time producer coming in. We just hired somebody, and we need him because Rob Dauster, the producer, and me trying to produce from my phone. Yeah, it's a little rough.
Look, Goodman, I'm a pretty face, man. I'm not meant to be behind the camera. I'm meant to be on the camera. I'm the talent on this show.
You are the talent, no doubt about that. What's your kind of biggest your biggest concern with this whole thing? Is it the chemistry, or not really, or is it point guard play, or what is it?
It's the point guard play, and it's the way that all of those pieces kind of fit together, right? Like the big concern that we had with Memphis last year, we knew they were going to be great defensively because they were the best on Ken Pom. They were the nation's best defensive team last year. It is okay. Do we get enough spacing with the shooters out there? Okay, are we going to be able to have a point guard that can put Emoni and Jalen into positions where they can succeed? Like just throwing those guys into Division I college basketball and saying, okay, you have to go take over games at 17 years old. It may be the AAC, but that is still a very, very high level of basketball. And asking him to do that it's not an easy thing to do. We see a lot of these guys that reclass don't always have the best freshman season, right? So I think that is just kind of my biggest concern right there. But overall, I think the one thing that I do think about this is, what's the knock on Emoni, right? It's defense. We've had that conversation before. I think putting him into that Memphis program that prioritizes defense is going to be a really good culture thing. I think that getting Jalen Duren, I know this is Monty Bates committing, but getting Jalen Duren in a system where you have Larry Brown and Rasheed Wallace and Penny Hardaway cussing him out every time he's not playing hard. Because what's the biggest knock on him? It's the motor, it's the effort, it's having him always turned on. So I think for both of these guys, like regardless of what ends up happening with this season and the way that this ends up playing out, I do think that this is a really, really good fit for them as a developmental step in their careers. Does that make sense? I think they both did their homework and figured out like this was a good spot for them.
Yeah, listen, again, I get it. Like I don't know if he could have gone wrong. You can go to Oregon and play for Dana Altman. That would have been a pretty good one too.
We got him here. Let's see if this ends up working.
Hello.
Emoni, what's up, man?
How y'all doing? How y'all doing? I'm good.
Congrats.
Appreciate it.
All right, so talk to me a little bit. Why? You and I talked for a while down at Peach Jam, and I had a pretty good idea you were going to go the college route. I could just sense it in your voice. But why Memphis over Oregon and the G League?
I just feel like Coach Penny can prepare me for the next level, especially playing his size, and me and him gonna be like basically same position. So he gonna help me in the best way. And then on my visit, it just felt like home. So I chose Memphis.
How much of it was the ability to play some point, Emoni? I mean, I saw you at the Peach Jam, and I think I told you that was the one thing that surprised me more than anything about you was going from a couple of years ago as a pure scorer to being able to see the floor and pass it. How much of going to Memphis was about having the chance to play the point?
Definitely huge for me because, I've been able to show people I can score my whole life. So, going to college, I want to show like I can do it all, like pass, everything. So he going to help me with that too, especially playing the point guard role. So, that's really going to help me grow in other areas too as a leader on and off the court.
Emoni, how happy are you that this process is over? I mean, the amount of attention that you got when you were in high school, like I'm sure that really kind of weighed on you a lot. And I know it did from what you told Jeff. So how happy are you that you're done with all of that attention?
I'm super excited. I'm really happy. I'm just, about to lock in even more. I'm ready to go turn up my Tiger fans.
So is your first class tomorrow morning, Emoni? Like, what do you got? What's the class schedule?
After this, I think we're gonna figure it all out. We haven't talked yet. We just made my decision. But after this, we all gonna talk.
So NIL, how much did that play a part in all this? You told me you knew back when we spoke how much more NIL could bring you even than G League Ignite. If NIL hadn't been in the equation, would you be in the G League right now?
It depends. Really, all depends, really, because I was gonna go based off of having like the best fit for me, no matter what it was. So whatever that was gonna fit my game and help me grow as a player, that's where I was gonna be like going.
So you have Larry Brown, who coached Allen Iverson, on the staff. You have Rasheed Wallace, all-time great big man on the staff. You have Penny Hardaway, all-time great point guard on the staff. What is it that you are hoping they will add to your game and develop in you over the course of the next 6, 8, 12 months, whatever it is?
Everything, really. I'm going in there with an open mind, ready to learn, be around my team, get familiar with my guys. So, I'm just ready to get better and grow, really.
How much did Jalen committing there affect your decision to go to Memphis?
It definitely affected it. Me and him always talk, because we talked way before this even happened. Like, before AAU even started out, we said, we wanted to do the next level together. So, me and him, we're going to rock out together. And then we got a bond already, playing with Team Final. So, me and him talk all the time about this.
All right, well, listen. I
got one more, Jeff. This is the most important one for me, Emoni. I want to know if you have checked out any of the rib spots in Memphis yet and where you're most excited to go get barbecue when you get down to the city.
That's a secret. I can't even tell y'all because I did have some good food out there between me and Coach. I can't know about that, though.
Well, that's because it's NIL, so you got to sign that deal first, right?
That's some good food.
Congrats, Emoni. Congrats. I know it's been a tough year for you. Smile. It's finally over, and now you get to go to class, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks, Emoni.
Yep.
Take care, man.
There it is.
There you have it. Monty Bates off to Memphis with the Memphis Tigers hat on. You think they're happy in Memphis right now?
They're happy in Memphis, man.
I mean, they're happy. Like you think about Memphis, and it's been a long time. We thought they were going to be super relevant. I went down there a couple of years ago in the preseason and watched practice, and I did a big thing on Penny. Sat down with them and everything, and I thought they were going to be, maybe a Sweet 16-ish type team, even though they were super young, and that didn't happen. I mean, when the last time Memphis was truly nationally relevant in the season, You go back to Cal, right? You got to go back to Cal. I mean, Pastner never – he had him like good, but not great for a little while with Will Barton. Tubby had him okay. And then Penny, the first few years have been, frankly, they haven't been good. I mean, they've been disappointing. They've been mediocre. So, ultimately, here's my question to you too. How much pressure is on Penny Hardaway this year?
I mean, this is the make or break year, right? Like this is the put up or shut up year. And we kind of talked about that already. So I don't know if we necessarily need to rehash it, but like there's no, like I said, the last 2 years, there were definite reasons. I don't even want to say excuses because I think there were reasons why they didn't play up to the expectations that we all had for them heading into the season. And I don't necessarily think that those are going to be there this year. Now, that does not mean I think it's national championship or bust or Final Four or bust. No. I honestly don't even think that it's AAC championship or bust because that program down in Houston is pretty damn good, Jeff. But I do think this is the year where it's like, we need you to be nationally relevant and in the conversation as a Final Four contender by the time March comes around, right? Like that's what the expectation should be. I don't think that we have to say if they don't win a national title, it's a complete disappointment and Penny Hardaway's a fraud and run him out. No, it's not that. But I mean, there's enough talent, there's enough role players, there are enough veteran pieces, there's enough coaching. Like they gotta be a top 10 to 15 team all season long for me to kind of, is that I feel like that's a fair way to kind of put the level of expectation on them. Like we don't want to sit here and say, yes, they have to be a top 5 team or it's a complete bust. Am I where do you stand?
I think you're on target. I don't think they have to win it all, but I do think, again, listen, they got to not only go to the tournament, but I think they got to get to the second weekend this year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Can I just say one thing real quick?
Yeah.
I'm getting called out in the chat right now for having a backwards fitted hat on. Amani did not tell me he was committing. And I literally just finished a workout in my basement gym downstairs. So I have the Under Armour.
That's because I called you fat yesterday.
My hair is a mess. So what do you want me to do? I got to be on here. We had like 500 people live in here at one point, and I'm not. You want me coming on here like this? Come on. So I got to put the hat on.
You're working out because I called you fat yesterday, didn't I?
Look, I've known for a while that I have to cut some LBs, Jeffrey. So it is what it is.
No doubt. The good thing is now I get to go to Memphis again. I haven't been down to Memphis.
Yeah.
I was there a couple of years ago for the NCAA tournament, though. The last time I've been there for a Memphis Tigers game has been a long, long time ago, Rob. So I think this is going to be fun. Get down there, have them relevant, have that city. Now you think about it. You got Ja Morant down there rolling with the Grizz, and now the Tigers are going to be pretty good too. So like that city right now has got to be excited.
Sean Paul in the chat. Get out of here.
Yeah, well, it's true. I mean, you're trying. You're trying as much as you possibly can there.
I did. Well, listen, Jeff, we've been here for almost 30 minutes. This was fun. It was nice to get back in the live stream. Knicks. It was great to talk to Emoni. He looks happy. I mean,
he does look happy, and I'm happy for him because, again, I think when you put those unrealistic expectations on any 15-year-old kid in this day and age in social media, that's tough to handle. It is. Again, kids want it, of course. And his mother told me this. She said, when I was writing the story, do not make it sound like he's the victim or we're the victims. That's not the case at all here. But obviously, it is something that it's tougher to handle now with social media the way it is. And people, I mean, listen, people crush you, Rob.
Imagine they do. You hear my daughter crushing me in the background right there, right now.
Yeah, well, you probably haven't even cooked dinner at this point. You were working out.
I mean, we got pizza, so I got all that work, and then I'm about to go eat some pizza. So,
all right, well, we'll be doing this again because the season is not that far away.
Now we got news. Stay tuned. We got
news.
Big news.
That's right.
Might be game changing, Jeffrey. It might be game changing.
It could be game changing, and it does not involve your weight.
It does not. All right, listen, we'll see all you guys soon. Hopefully, there's no other big news that I'm unprepared for coming out pretty soon.